Hey there, and welcome. So if you're trying to find a rental right now, you already know it is a completely different ballgame. Today we're going to crack the code on finding that perfect two-bedroom place in 2026 and hopefully save you some money, time, and a whole lot of headaches along the way. All right, let's get right into it.
Right? This is the big question. You start looking, and what should be simple just turns into this endless puzzle of high costs, weird locations, and tough compromises. Look, if you've felt that frustration, trust me, you are not the only one. The rules have totally changed.
And this is the reason why. It all comes down to how we live and work now. I mean, think about it. The rise of remote work and these new, more flexible lifestyles mean we're all asking for so much more from our homes, and that has completely turned the rental market on its head.
So let's kick things off with the #1 trend that's driving all this change, the massive, and I mean massive, demand for that extra room. It's not just about having a second bedroom anymore. It's really about having flexibility and options built right into where you live.
Yeah, that extra space is basically the new essential. For a ton of people, it's a dedicated home office, which, is non-negotiable if you work from home. For others, it's a guest room, so family and friends can actually visit. And hey, with costs going up, it's also a super practical way to get a roommate and cut your rent in half. But really, it just comes down to having a little more breathing room, a bit more privacy.
But look, don't just take my word for it. The data, the actual numbers, paint a really clear picture of just how huge this market has become. So let's take a look at what the stats are telling us about renting in 2026.
Okay, first up, just the sheer size of it all. The global vacation rental market is expected to hit over $120 billion this year. To give you some perspective, that is an absolutely colossal industry. It's bigger than the entire movie industry's global box office. And it's all being driven by these new ways we're all choosing to live and travel.
And it's not slowing down either. We're seeing steady growth of almost 7% every single year. What that tells us is that this demand for flexible rental spaces isn't just some passing fad. No, it's a really powerful, long-term shift in how we live.
And of course, all that demand has a direct impact on your wallet. The average nightly rate for a two-bedroom short-term rental has crept up to around $205. That's a pretty big jump from where things were a few years ago, which makes it more important than ever to be smart with your budget and hunt for that real value.
Now this is where it gets really interesting. It's not just that we're renting, but how we're renting. Get this, more than half of all bookings are now for long stays. We're talking a week or longer. We're not just taking quick weekend getaways. People are settling in, blending work with travel, and actually living in these places for weeks at a time.
Okay, so we've established the market is huge, it's competitive, and it's totally different than it used to be. So how do you actually find a place without losing your mind? Let's get into the practical stuff, the actual strategy you can use to find your next rental.
Here it is, your simple 5-step game plan. First, start early. Seriously, like 60 to 90 days out. Next, you got to use filters to your advantage. We'll talk more about that in a sec. Third, you have to separate what you absolutely need from what would be nice to have. Be honest. Fourth, always inspect the property. If you can't be there, ask for a live video call so you can see for yourself. And finally, when you find the right one, be ready to apply that same day.
Let's really dig into step 2, because smart filters are your absolute best friend in this process. Don't just search by price, go way deeper. Look, filtering for fully furnished apartments can save you a fortune in moving and furniture costs. Searching for flexible lease terms can uncover some hidden gems that aren't locked into a strict 12-month lease. And come on, in 2026, checking the Wi-Fi speed isn't a perk, it's a must-have for pretty much everyone.
So once you've used those filters to narrow things down, it's time to start making some real choices. Remember, the perfect rental is totally different for everybody, so let's break down the key trade-offs you need to think about that go way beyond just the monthly rent.
And it all starts with this question, right here. It's so tempting to want more space, but you gotta ask yourself, does it actually fit your lifestyle, your budget, your real, day-to-day needs? It's time to look at the pros and cons with fresh eyes. And this is the balancing act. On the one hand, yeah, that extra room can be a total game changer for your privacy and productivity. But the other side of that coin isn't just higher rent, it's bigger utility bills and, well, more space to clean. The real question of value is whether that extra space actually pays for itself, either through a roommate's rent, you being more productive working from home, or even just peace of mind. Now, the other big choice, especially for those longer stays, is the classic apartment versus hotel debate. An apartment almost always gives you more space and a kitchen, which can save you a ton of money on food. But a hotel is all about convenience, right? No cleaning, no fuss. So the trade-off is this. An apartment comes with the hidden effort of cooking and cleaning, while a hotel has all those hidden costs like pricey room service and laundry.
All right, you've done the work. You've found a place you absolutely love. You are so close. But before you sign that lease or hit that book now button, there's one last super important step. Let's call it the final gut check.
Okay, this is where you have to be brutally honest with yourself. If you're going to have a roommate, does the layout actually work for that? Are the bedrooms on opposite sides of the apartment, or are you going to hear every phone call? Is there actual storage space, or just one tiny closet? And get super clear on what's included. Does utilities included also cover high-speed internet, or is that extra? Asking these questions now will save you from major headaches down the road.
And that really brings us to the most important thing to remember. This whole process can feel so businesslike, so transactional. But at the end of the day, you're not just looking for an address. You're looking for a home. You're looking for a place that lets you live the life you want. So take your time, use these tips, and find a space that really, truly works for you. Because the real question isn't just about the apartment, it's about the life you want it to support.